Hi, I'm Femi OK, and you're in the stream live on Al Jazeera and YouTube, so you can watch along and comment at the same time. Now that a week has passed since the worst single attack in Somalia's history, many are asking, can a rare moment of unity be harnessed for change? People on their way to work, shopkeepers, university students, and even a school bus full of children. Last week's huge truck bomb in the Somali capital, Mogadishu, killed at least 358 people and prompted a wave of revulsion. Local people, especially the young, were quick to respond. They helped the wounded, they dug through rubble for survivors, they raised funds, and they marched against armed group Al-Shabaab and the government. Many are now asking, can this moment of togetherness make a real difference? Joining us to talk about this, Abdurrahman Omar Osman is the Somali Minister of Information. Mukhtar Noor is a photographer and filmmaker. Abdi Fattah Hassan, a blogger and volunteer rescue worker. And Mohammed Ado is a senior correspondent for Al Jazeera English. Gentlemen, welcome. It's good to have you here. Abdi Fattah, I want you to give our audience some idea of what it is like to live in Mogadishu with the fear that maybe when you go down the street, when you pick up your groceries, something might happen to you. What is that like?
Well, thank you very much, guys, for having me in the show. Living in Mogadishu is actually is full of uncertainty. We live in a city where if you go out for a grocery or for whatever you want, you're not sure if you are coming back safely. So it's actually very difficult. But but compared to where we come from, it's getting much better. But still, the fear is there.
Let me just ask the Minister of Information. I'm going to show our audience, Minister, a little graphic that Al Jazeera put together. The Mogadishu attacks in 2017. Here is January. Continue down here into January. In February, we had a suicide bomb, 39 killed. In March, 2 incidences. Here we have April, May, June. I was looking for a month, maybe a month that was quiet, that was peaceful. I couldn't find one. We go into July, into August, September, October the 14th. This was the biggest attack in Mogadishu's history. And then that's not over yet. Just at this weekend, 11 killed after a deadliest blast. The security in Mogadishu, what is it like?
Thank you very much for having me. 14th of October was a dark day for Somalia and also in the region and the whole world. What we describe as the 9/11 of Somalia. The single attack that took place really lost a number of civilians. We're talking about over 600 people wounded or died. We are still mourning, but Somali people have shown their resilience, that they came together with unity in defiance of the terrorist group and their actions. So we believe this, even though we are still mourning and we lost a number of civilians, but we are coming together to terms where we are saying enough is enough and Al-Shabaab will be defeated in Somalia. When it comes to the figures that you shown, yes, Al-Shabaab, they changed their tactics since we are winning the military war. They changed to asymmetric warfare. That's why you have seen a number of attacks. But when you look at the graph from June up to now, it was less. We changed the tactics. We have managed to secure Mogadishu, and that's why this was a desperation from terrorist group to show to Al-Qaeda that they are still relevant and present in Somalia.
So, Mohammed, the government may well have changed tactics, but people were furious after October the 14th. You were out on the street. What were they telling you?
Well, most of the people on the streets were actually angry with Al-Shabaab for carrying out such a brazen daylight attack and targeting one of the busiest junctions of Mogadishu, and also during rush hour. They said this is the most callous thing the group could have done. But then there were people also who were questioning the government's ability to protect the people in Mogadishu, saying not only does the government have its own troops there, more than 20,000 African Union peacekeepers in the country, and they've been there for more than 10 years. Why is it they are asking that battles or bombings and Al-Shabaab's campaign of violence is taking place in the capital more than 6 years after the group's fighters were removed? So people doubting actually the government's ability to protect them.
I want our audience to show and to see what it was like for you surrounded by those angry voices who hit the streets. Have a look.
As the crowds of protesters surged towards Saturday's blast site, they were stopped by Somali police and African Union peacekeepers. But the crowds pressed on, forcing the police to shoot in the air to disperse them.
The official mourning period is over, and residents of Mogadishu say they can now ask the difficult questions. They say they are angry at Al-Shabaab, who they believe carried out the attack, but also the government for what they call a failure to protect them.
Mukhtar, let me bring you into the conversation. We've had a lot of comments online about what's happening in Somalia and Mogadishu right now and the mood. So Black Boss here says the attack hasn't changed the mood of Somalis, but made civilians unite and fight against their country enemy. We share one more with you. This is Abdul Hakim. Somalis should move forward by coming together and saying enough is enough, and Somali youth who bear the brunt of attacks should lead the way. Are you seeing Somali youth leading the way, Mukti?
Actually, I believe that the youth this time, they felt that they can do something, they're capable of doing something. Well, one of the examples is the Gurmat Qaran team, which is a group of volunteers from different backgrounds, volunteers from universities, the diaspora. They team up together to actually to rescue the people. And being a member of those volunteers, we team up, and then we try to we organize ourselves, and we assign each other to do different tasks. So I was a member on the social media department, which is this department is responsible of bringing the information, going to the field, going to the hospitals, and like releasing, try to gather information of the casualties, the missing people, and trying to get the information of the like we made an as the Gurmat Qaran team, we made an online database that actually people could submit the missing people, and then it will help us identify the missing people, and then we could link up with the like the families and their loved ones. So this huge thing was the government itself. They gave us the credit for doing this because we don't have an emergency center that actually can deal with such tragedies, and until today. So as volunteers, as a youth, we came up with this idea. Before, we didn't feel that we actually have. We are like we used to actually feel that we're not being like engaged.
You're not acknowledged. Mukhtar, as you're talking, I just want to show these pictures because you were talking about the volunteers and you were talking about organising using social media.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look through some of these pictures. You can help us explain what's going on here, because these are the young people you said mobilised pretty much instantly.
Yes, yes. As you can see, the youth were here. They came around 200 volunteers. They went to the bombing site, and they start helping the security forces and clean up a campaign and a rescue. So this is pretty much what we actually succeed to do, and we hope that actually the government give us more like responsibilities and help us engage in decision making.
Mohammed, is this new? Have you seen the youth organising in this way before?
I would say, Femi, this was one of the most uplifting things during that period of mourning. The youth coming out in large numbers, both those who have stayed on in the country during the years of instability and those who came back from different countries in the world, coming together, bonding, and helping their people, not only in helping in the rescue and the cleanup processes, but also in that National Emergency Operations Center set up by the government, where they were directing the relatives of the victims of the bombing. And I must say credit also goes to the government for allowing them the space with which to carry out and also help.
Minister, you're about to say something. Go ahead, please.
Absolutely. We cannot thank enough how the young people in Somalia took the leadership in coming together and organizing themselves voluntarily and helping the victims and wounded. That's why the government gave also the opportunity and the space for them to really do what they are good at. And what they did is amazing. They mobilized the Somalis in the diaspora, Somalis inside and outside the country, where we have seen on the 18th of October, the largest demonstration throughout Somalia and some countries in the diaspora, where people are saying enough is enough, and now it's time to move on. So even the fundraising that they really for themselves voluntarily began, and now the government is considering about these youth who have done an amazing job for them to become the center for future disaster management center. So we cannot thank enough.
Abdel Fattah, are you seeing that this attack is changing the way Somali youth are organizing and their voices are being heard?
Yes, definitely, because in previous incidents, we never had volunteers coming up together and doing something and supporting. And this is the first time actually we're seeing, young volunteers coming together and helping the wounded and, doing all this amazing work. I mean, it's what's actually keeping us motivated. But I would like to ask one question to the minister. And you have seen the role that the youth are playing actually in terms of volunteerism, in terms of doing something, but what's the government is doing to protect its citizens? Because we cannot wait again, such thing to happen. Is there any strategies or approach that, because we're not just prepared to always waiting the next hit.
Yes.
Minister, that was what I asked you the very first question. You didn't actually answer it. I asked you about the security, and Abdel Fattah is asking you again about the security. How do you protect your people?
Absolutely. I think we are learning lessons from what happened. Someone who wants to kill themselves is difficult to protect, and someone who wants to kill civilians. But having said this, our president currently is in Addis Ababa, where he's visiting the regions, talking to the leaders, since the countries that in the regions are contributing to the African forces. So now we begin military operations. We're going after Al-Shabaab in order to not give them an opportunity and a space where they can plan such attacks. So we are doing everything in our power. But as you can understand, we are building institutions, we are reforming security forces. At the same time, we're dealing with the famine. And yet we have this crisis, but we came together and we believe that the momentum that has been created, and it is time for us to see how we together can defeat the terrorists in our soil. And this is a global terror that needs global solution. By the way, we are very grateful for the quick response that the Turkey has shown and other countries by bringing air ambulance to take the most critically wounded people. So now they are receiving medical treatment. So we did what we could, but we tried to do more in terms of going after Al-Shabaab.
Go ahead, Abdel Fattah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for your answer. Actually, I was saying, we know that the ability of government is not yet actually ready to deal with such crisis, but why the government is only focusing on other political issues in the country, such as the federal states, the regional administrations, and not focusing on the security, which is the very important component that needs to be dealt right now. Our families are still grieving. I know that people are still asking questions. People are even still wondering what's going on. If that was the biggest of what happened, then what could be the next one? We know all these circumstances that are the government is dealing with, but why the security is number one? It's not number one priority for our government.
I think you know very well the security is number one priority, and it has been for some time. the President Farmajo, when he came on power, on 6th of April, he declared a state of war in Somalia, saying that we go after Al-Shabaab. Since then, we have been reforming our security forces. And as you know, the security stabilization forces in Mogadishu, for the last 4 months, we have seen decrease of the attacks. We managed to foil a number of attacks. So definitely, security is number one.
Mohammed, on your website, on your Twitter profile, you posted an Al Jazeera video about remembering the people who died on October the 14th, linking it not just to another attack, but to real people. I want our audience to see some of those people who passed away. Have a look. Fatah, there was a similar sentiment on your Twitter feed as well. You talk about the over 300 not being just a number. They had names and professions. Some of them were helping and serving their beloved country. We need a memorial wall. There are some people who are still missing, some people that you know that you haven't found yet. Tell us more.
Yeah. Actually, the reason why this incident was different from others, even though I didn't lose a close friend or close family member, my best friend's sister is still missing, and that's why I actually uploaded that picture on Twitter, because I mean, this is not just a number. You know, in previous incidents we never had information and profiling of the victims. I mean, what's so unique in this incident is that the casualties is very high. Number one. Every victim has a history, and you know, most of the victims, if not all, were just ordinary civilians. And we have to come together, and we have to agree that they are not just the numbers. They had names and profession, they had stories, and we need to portray those stories and show that stories to the world, to other Somalis.
Mukhtar, who are you still missing? Who are you still looking for?
There are a lot of people actually missing, and I feel that I'm connected to everyone that is missing, and because usually, apart from being a member of the volunteer rescue team, actually I have a YouTube channel that I showcase the positive side of Somalia, the beautiful side of Somalia, encouraging diaspora to come back to the country and build the country and come here and live here in Somalia, and promoting that Somalia is peaceful. But when this thing happened, this tragedy happened, I felt all my followers, they asking me, like, Mukhtar, what's going to be next? So this happened. So are you sure Somalia is a safe place to be? So I felt like, I feel so angry, because the effort I'm doing to encourage my people to come back home, that's actually is just going right in the sky, just like that. So yeah, so we felt like we feel like we beat him, but not yet.
Mukhtar, do you feel safe? You returned home in 2014. Be candid. Right now, do you feel safe? Right now,
I do my routine. Nothing changed before, but I'm still worried. I'm still worried that because this person could be me. Those people could I could be one of them, because I was lucky because I was going to that place, but I got delayed for 20 minutes. Right. So tonight you guys could be showing my photo on AJ stream at the moment.
So the video where we're seeing the devastation, that 20 minutes difference, that could have been you.
Yes, and yes,
yeah, go ahead,
so yeah, you can understand. You can understand. So,
of course.
one of my friends actually is a doctor. I met him like last month, and we had a good time. Actually, he was telling me about how talking about how they actually like he feel so happy to be a doctor, and he was graduated from Banadir University. And he was telling me about a blood donation project that he actually wants to propose for the government because we don't have a blood bank. So I was shocked because I saw his photo in the database as a missing, one of the missing people. And I feel so bad because we're still looking for him. Among the hundreds, many people actually are missing. So you can understand now.
Minister, so many questions about the safety, the security of Somalis online. This is a suggestion here. It's time to start issuing ID cards for Mogadishu residents. Start an ID check on the streets, arrest and deport everyone with no ID card. You have been trying to be reassuring about security and safety. Is this perhaps one approach? Is to be really strict about who goes where, ID checks? There were already checkpoints, but they didn't work on October the 14th.
And not really. We don't want to be like terrorists to brutalize and oppress people. We want people as free as it can be. At the same time, Somalia, we want to be an example that we can be a democratic country that really respects the human rights and the dignity of every person. Nevertheless, when you have a terrorist groups melting in the society and they are Somalis themselves, this is an area where we have plans in terms of, number one, to militarily defeat, and number two, to try to reconcile those who are willing to give up all their weapons. And
Minister, what's changed since October the 14th in your approach? Is anything changing?
Yes, everything has changed. We have now the people coming out on the streets saying enough is enough. We need to wipe out Al-Shabaab in our soil. We have a number of young volunteers saying they are ready to join the military, and the whole community are coming together. So there will be, Al-Shabaab will have no places to hide anymore. Plus our determination that we want to end this war with the support of our international partners. We believe that we have seen a new Somalia beginning, where people are coming together for unity.
Mohammed, what's changed as far as you are concerned?
I think what the government needs is a coherent national security policy. And the person who suggested the ID to issue has a brilliant idea, and so have the multitudes of people who've been asking the government to deal with the issuance of number plates and ensure that whoever is being issued with a number plate for his vehicle should be in a government database, so that when these vehicles that are carrying all these explosives, decimating lives, then they know who to go to. Another issue is the buying and selling of vehicles, which is done, under the tables without the government's knowledge, and this is contributing to the massive death tolls we are seeing in Al-Shabaab attacks.
All right, let me show you a little bit of what's been happening online as we've been live on YouTube. And one of the comments here, there are many that try to stop the progress of Somalis. There needs to be an effective method to help the development of Somalis, which also includes those in Ethiopia, Djibouti, Kenya, and also South Sudan. So I want to leave you with the hope that we've been seeing online, and that's via Mukhtar's YouTube page. He paints pictures and also shares videos of a Somalia that we rarely get to see. This is Jazeera Beach. Have a look.
Now, I'm not saying everything is perfect just because I believe. What I'm saying is everything is worth it because I have deen. I have good days, I have bad days, I have days when I show my bad ways, but I come back to the straight path, the path of those who don't just lay back. And that path is called As-Sirat al-Mustaqim.
Straight path is all I need.